I'm your host, Brad West, and joining me, of course, Mr. Greg Anthony Burrow from Dragons Are Comics and Fantasy on Anderson Lane, Miss Anastasia Anderson, and my good friend Frank Wee. We're continuing our discussion of the Shang Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. It's the new Marvel movie starring Simu Liu and Tony Leung and Awkwafina
and Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh. Oh my god.
And also there's some competent Asian actors.
All the best.
Yes.
I don't know if it's all the best, but they're all
okay.
good.
A big question.
Yes.
How many Asians were behind the camera?
At least two.
At least
wow.
two.
Okay. I was expecting more than that.
Yeah.
Well, in behind the scene, behind the below the line kind of things, you have the director Destin Daniel Cretton, who's half Japanese and raised in Hawaii. He wrote the original treatment, and then the final scriptwriter, I forget his name, but he's also part Asian. He did this weird animated thing that people kind of got freaked out about recently about history and George Washington as a superhero. And
okay.
I think, okay.
Yeah, but anyway.
Oh,
okay. And he's actually done, he helped do some work on Wonder Woman.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, there is Asian in that sense, and I don't know about, like, say, producers or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, as long as you have writing creatives who are Asian on it, that makes a difference.
Well, as I saw yesterday, we all enjoyed it.
And plenty of the country enjoyed it, because over the 4 days, it brought in $92 million.
There were some slips-ups here and there, but, it's not only just good for a Marvel movie, it's good for a like you said, Wushu movie.
Yeah, and I think the upside is it's been several years before this type of a movie from China or Hong Kong was actually brought to the American theaters. Mm-hmm. It's been several years, because but
so if you haven't seen it, it's new to you.
It's new to you, and
yes.
It may get people excited about more about Chinese type of fantasy
yeah.
work, and they can go to Netflix, which has lots of Asian series and action
superhero type things.
I've been going through the Asian dramas like you would not believe.
Yeah.
Right
and also, in fairness, also some of the Korean stuff. Some of the
Korean sci-fi stuff is mind-numbing. I love the Korean sci-fi stuff.
Yes, just to be fair.
To be fair.
Yes.
All right, so today we are giving our assessment of the individual characters and some of the actors portraying them. Yes. And why not start off with the main character, Shang-Chi?
Yes. Or Sean, as he's known.
Or Sean.
As he's known in the first 15 minutes.
As y'all probably caught us earlier in the week when we were discussing this before we saw the movie, there was inconsistency how we were pronouncing the name. And I was like, I'll wait until I actually hear it on the screen before I commit myself to one. But an interesting point that, Frank, that you had made about the name
is the fact that, considering how many dialects there are in China, you've got Mandarin, which is official, you also have Cantonese and Szechuan, but there's like scores of other dialects throughout. The further west you go, the more varied they become.
Right?
And the truth is, there's not necessarily, there's a correct Mandarin way of saying the name. But
so
my family wouldn't necessarily be pronouncing it the same way. However, what matters is the written word.
Yeah.
And because that's, as I was saying, culturally speaking, the spoken Chinese has been very dividing because of all the dialects. But the written word is the same across the nation. So it's really irrelevant.
We'll talk about Simu Liu is actually I enjoyed it. I have not seen him in anything. I know that he played that popular Canadian sitcom.
Yeah, he was on Kim's Convenience, playing a Korean, even though he's Chinese.
Right.
But he actually, it should be kind of made clear that the film version of Shang-Chi is nothing like the comics. Not even the revamped current comics.
No.
But
it doesn't fall for the trapping.
No,
but it doesn't.
and this is something that I did a little research on, and also I kind of confirmed watching it, is I had mentioned a long time ago when they cast Simu, he's like, that was not my choice.
Right.
Even though he's a perfectly competent, capable actor, he has talent, he has a nice singing voice, yada. You wouldn't know it from the screaming they were doing for the karaoke,
Right.
but they're drunk, so they're allowed to sound bad.
Right.
But anyway, the thing was, one of the things that they're, in order to try to break the stereotypes, one of the stereotypes we have that Asian men deal with in this country is the fact that because we're Asian, we're not masculine. We're not butchy enough. We're not physically attractive or virile enough. And so there are things that they do, and that's where I think we're part of the motivation for casting someone like Simu, who is not someone, if you look at a lot of the Chinese series, he's a little thicker, he's a little rounder than what you would see. The type.
Yeah.
He was
But
real.
he was, and he put on weight, muscle. He put on 10 pounds of muscle
Good for him.
for the role because we have to justify that shirtless scene.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
there was a
I
shirtless
told you
scene.
that on the
I
way
thought
in the
that
car.
was
I told Anna this. I'm like, watch. There's that. It's in the contract that every Marvel action
Take your
guy
shirt
has
off.
to take your shirt off. And as soon as it happened, I'm like, see, I told
Yes.
you.
Well, I thought it was funny because in the show they actually made fun of it because Aquafina was like,
Yes, yes.
He's like, I don't know.
He's like, where did this come
Where
from?
does this go? We'll deal with it.
It's like,
I'm still
alright.
betting against you. I'm still betting against you even with the extra
I don't know.
muscles.
Like, I'm like,
But I'm going to go back to the point is, I realized looking at this and the kind of actor Simu is, let's just pretend this is not a Chinese role, a Chinese movie, a Chinese role. I realized the way they wrote Shang Chi is this is the kind of role that a young Bruce Willis could have played 35 years ago. 35 years ago.
Okay.
okay.
And there's somebody who is funny, who's very masculine, who fits the very American role of idea of like,
He had to say 35
But-
years ago for me to be like,
yes, it's 35 years ago because there's a charm, but there's still a humanity to him.
back
And-
when he was an everyman. too.
Where he was more of an everyman type, but still has some acting chops that, he's not just simply a mindless action kind of
Right.
actor. And so I think that's where the logic is to help break the stereotype subliminally.
Yeah.
And so
I'm glad they went with a different.
And-
Because you're right. It's a bad thing that in Asian characters they tend to make them more blended. Like you have more like Brandon Lee kind of. It's
Yes.
like, it's like he's Chinese enough or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, like even like we were talking about Louis Tan. Was
Louis
originally,
Tan is half British,
and he's half
but
British,
he
and
looks
definitely,
more like a traditional Asian hero in a Chinese series or Korean series. He would look more like what we expect. But at the same time, there are a lot of people in this country who don't see him as like being butch enough or attractive enough.
Yeah,
and
not
things.
like
And-
and that might be part of what I was telling you too when I was saying this, like, is Simu, I mean, he was attractive enough in the promo pictures, but they were trying so hard to make him look tough and serious that it did nothing to him, and then, like, watching the movie, I'm like, this guy's a lot cuter than his promo pictures
Yes,
make him
he
look.
is.
Honestly, yeah.
He is, and that's like the whole point I think that they're trying to sell, where Simu's strength is a light touch. I don't think he's actually that good at comedy. Comedy. But
Yeah.
he knows how to bring a light touch. He's a very naturally likable actor.
He's very easygoing.
Yes, he's an experienced stuntman. He does know, he has martial arts background. He's not Jackie Chan or Jet Li, but he has the skill. He does have
He
a
faked it
foundation.
pretty well, that's for sure.
He has a foundation. And so those are the things, and you can see those same strengths that they applied, that they wanted, is what helped him form a career with Kim's Convenience. Because those are the same qualities is what he's applying. That's what I mean, they're using his strengths.
Yeah.
And they were
I would
looking
watch
for
more
that
with him.
type.
I would watch more if I saw
Yeah.
something else with him.
And so, and I would say the only thing about this character is how good of a film actor, like, I personally don't think this movie stretches him enough, challenges his acting muscles enough. And that's a fault of the script, because let's go and talk about Tony, the script puts a lot of attention to Tony's character.
Well, the last thing I want to say about the actual Shang-Chi character is that I actually, it veered a lot from the source material.
Which
in a good
God.
way. However, there are some things that I honestly would like to see in future installments.
Yeah.
I would love for us to come back and find out that he's been putting his talents to use for like MI6 or some kind of a gorgeous.
That was the big
would be
thing that
really
I was
cool.
upset going
Is to
into the
see
film.
that
Was that
espionage
they
aspect of
took
it.
the MI6 element away from Shang-Chi.
I think that would be cool to see something of that nature. Him working for
but
like,
but I think they were so fearful with the Fu Manchu connection that they really and this is something which I know that let me just kind of stop for a moment because I meant to mention it in the previous part, is that they have really gone out of their way to try to not piss China off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not just simply modeling the template that is classic Chinese filmmaking, but also, and this goes back to Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige usually is very careful how involved he gets with any political dust-up without any scandals. Like, notice how he has never directly commented on the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, there's been second parties that says, I'm upset about this, I'm on Scarlett's side.
Yeah.
But that's how we do it. He's very,
Not a
very
neutral.
careful. He's very passive. And because
has
that
to
way
be
he has
very
to walk.
strategic.
He's
He
walking that.
did make a comment on the Shang-Chi
Yes,
red carpet.
but a couple weeks back, just right after the premiere, the original premiere, he gave this interview where he's basically saying he is directly talking to China and says, "It's not the Mandarin. I promise you. I
No,
promise
he said
you."
he promised that it was not
Offensive.
Fu Manchu.
Yeah, and I promise you.
Fu Manchu is not in this
Yeah,
film.
and I said, I promise you, we respect your culture. This movie, the very fact that he would be that direct
Yeah.
shows you how the tension is
Yeah.
related to this movie. Because, of course, China makes up as much, up to 20% of the revenue for a Marvel film.
It's the biggest market for
Yes.
movies right now.
So,
in the world.
and because there's already existing tension, just with Disney, with and then you've got Shang-Chi, son of Fu Manchu,
Yeah.
being
But he's not.
but he's
In the
not.
movies, he's not.
And even the fact that it's the Mandarin is cold comfort to a lot of people.
But
But
All right.
I didn't think it was possible, but they managed to do it. They made it
Yes.
to where both these characters actually were respectable.
Yeah, they
Yes,
dodged every
and-
single track.
and
of the
because
characters.
and as we get to there,
And they did a great job doing it.
yes, and because what they did was they rewrote it and made him again. This is very much a classic character that you would see in a wushu psychological conflict. And we had layers. And somebody had asked me 2 days ago, "Is the Mandarin a villain? Is the villain?" And I said, "Yes and no."
Yeah.
And I said, "There's a reference to that, but no, this character is too complex, too sympathetic to be called a villain. He is the antagonist."
He's the antagonist.
Yeah.
All right,
That
so
is-
before we get to the antagonist, because we're
Yeah.
going to save that for last, because that's the juiciest bit.
Yeah.
What about the side characters? Obviously, Katie.
Yes.
Awkwafina.
Awkwafina did amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, like I said, she's standing for the audience. She's, thank God, not the love interest. She actually has that. I almost say, like, for the first third of the movie, I almost thought she's actually a stand-in for his sister.
Yeah, they had a really good sibling.
Except she's more probably the older sister than the younger sister. She's actually and there's that whole point where, yes, this is somebody I can lean on. No, it's not romantic. That is the one revolutionary part that I liked about this.
Yeah.
That is the revolution. There is nothing to indicate that they're going to be lovers.
Mm-hmm.
They
Even
could have fallen for
down
it,
that.
and they didn't.
No, they're compadres. They're
Right.
partners in crime.
Yeah.
They're partners in crime right there.
Yeah.
She's the Asian Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
She's not Sandra Bullock. She's the Asian Jeff Gordon.
Yes.
And that's a great thing because it does depth. As I said, the one thing personally I don't like, and this has nothing to do with Awkwafina, is like I said, she's handling the comedy, but they're using her as the template about the East-West cultural dysphoria identity that constantly shows up in movies dealing with Chinese people that are targeting the U.S.
Yeah.
And as I explained
it's
to
always
somebody,
the,
it's like, well, and I don't care how, and they do a sound job. That's not the problem. The problem is, imagine like you're a gay person and 90% of the movies you see are all coming out stories.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's
You don't care
yes.
after a while.
Oh my God,
I
that's what I
don't
said about
care.
for the first like 20 years of any gay
Yes.
cinema. That's like,
And that's why for me, and that's why I mentioned my age, I've been seeing this same issue since Flower Drum Song, 1961.
we don't care.
Basically, Aquafina is Nancy Kwan
Right.
from that movie.
She's a great perspective. She's
Oh, yeah,
a great
she
audience
is.
perspective.
And-
I think
and-
she's like the. I kind of want to see her and Luis.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying.
Something
Like,
together.
and it was a very. I liked her in there. She was one of the first people. She's really proven herself to be a more versatile actress than people realize.
Yeah.
Which is a relief.
Which is
I would
Yeah.
totally agree with
Because
that.
she was funny without being
Yes.
silly.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like she's
Right.
taking there. She's providing the comedy without it being shtick or
Yeah.
a skit.
And they didn't cheapen. It didn't cheapen all of the moments.
And-
that
And I
were-
think it's really hard for people to tone themselves down. I mean, because no, I've seen
Yeah.
roles with Aquafina where she's like way out wacky.
Yes, and
Yeah.
she has such a naturally strong, defined. She's one of those actors, like she's like those old movie star actors who have a very, very defined personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very, and you have to have. It's hard sometimes for them to like put it in check.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it
I mean,
Oh,
just
yeah,
look
I'm
at
sorry.
just look at Jim Carrey.
yeah.
I mean,
Jim Carrey-
there's so many times that in my point of view, he's gone way over,
Yeah.
and he should have been pulled back,
Yeah.
and he wasn't.
And
in The
fortunately,
Grinch especially.
fortunately, like I think it comes down to like she gets the point of this movie.
Yeah.
So she's pulling herself back to say, no, I'm an ensemble.
I was
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
part of the ensemble, and yeah, like I said, her character serves that, and that arc of her.
It's like us choir
keeps on-
kids growing up. It's
yeah.
like it doesn't matter how good you sing. If you're singing louder than everybody else in the group,
Right? That
then
doesn't
you,
mean anything.
then you sound terrible.
You have to be a
And-
team player.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's bringing your talent and blending it with everybody else's that I think she did a great job.
Yeah, and then you get to Zenger Meng, or no, that's not. I'm not pronouncing that. I'm not correct.
The actress who plays Sue's husband.
Mengerzan, who is playing Xiaoling, Shang Chi's sister.
It's a secret.
She is playing. Again, we're not the character. Like is not groundbreaking because you can see that kind of character in the Chinese cinemas.
Yeah.
Right.
But she's nailing it.
Yeah.
Oh,
There-
she was
she is
delightful.
nailing it. She has the right balance that's needed, and considering she doesn't, from what I read recently, like today, she doesn't have a lot of film experience. She has more stage experience.
Really?
And she really got a, like Tony and the director was telling her how to like bring it down
Oh,
for the
okay.
film. And, so how to adjust for that, because she did have a lot of camera experience. But,
Oh, okay.
and that's really surprising. And this is someone I pray she can have some decent kind of career. She has a career over in the East.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if she had. Sometimes I see these Asian actors, and they don't get the career that I wish they could.
Yeah.
Like Joan Chen from 30 years ago. She was like the high point for me of The Last Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only other movie for Hollywood of note that she did was the first Judge Dredd movie.
Yeah,
Wow.
you're right.
And it's a nothing role.
I don't even. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a nothing role. She has a cat fight with dynamite. That's all there is.
Mhm.
But yeah, and conversely, Fala Shen really plays that kind of mystical love interest that we see. Again,
Oh.
she's hitting it, and beautiful. She's really present. I really hope she can cap.
Yeah.
That there are roles offered up. Because
We're
she
talking
has
about the mom.
mom. Yes.
Yeah.
Just for the audience to
For
know who
mom.
we're talking about.
Because she's got a very special presence.
Oh, yeah.
She was amazing.
It really comes through how she has a beautiful
She's so
aura.
warm.
Beautiful
Yeah.
aura. And the other selfish reason is if she has a more successful career, more red carpets with her.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
she is the one who's getting the fashion spreads.
Yeah.
And she's nailing it. And I'm saying with more successful films, she's gonna have all the big
Designers
people
all over.
throwing clothes at her.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
She's like-
yes.
If her career goes right, she could be like on the Tilda, the Kate, the Lupita level.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
I
I
know
know.
that.
That's selfish.
Right.
Go ahead.
I have to say that, I love strong female characters, so it really made me very happy seeing how many strong female characters we had in this film.
And they're distinct.
And they're
very
distinct
distinct
from one
and
another.
different from each other, yes.
They're complete. Yes.
The one caveat I'm going to do to that is that I really was not happy with the ending because I want that character to be more.
Well,
You know.
the tricky thing is, I think
We'll see how it goes.
we'll see how it goes because there's enough ambiguity where
Yeah.
maybe she'll be lawful neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I did want, and
That's
this
what
is,
I
a point,
assumed.
this is an interesting point of something that I was conscious of during the movie, and that really made me happy. And this goes to a well portrayal of a strong female character in my mind. Is that by the end of it, there was no evil girl hench person.
No.
Okay, because normally, like it's from the very beginning when they
There's no
introduce-
bad girl.
when
Yes.
the beginning of that sister shows up, and I'm like, we're gonna have a cat fight at the end. And there was no bad hench
And
girl.
in the-
She ends up against like the biggest, baddest mofo hench guy. And I'm like, when that scene came down, I'm like, and they're fighting here. I'm like, that's what I want to see more of.
Yeah.
And that really made
and
me
what's
happy.
interesting, of course, in the comics, there are bad girls relatives
Yes.
of Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's nice that we don't get them because
It's
Because,
so
of course,
easy.
it's-
It's such an easy, cheap fallback.
it plus actually from the way the story is, because the story ultimately is about family dysfunction at its core. It's like I said, and how it's about dealing with pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
how-
another grief
and loss.
episode.
And we'll get to that. And this is this tricky thing because I want to talk about. I want to talk about Ant-Man, which is Michelle Yeoh's character, but
Oh,
it's
yes.
hard to talk about her without talking about Tony's
Without-
character
yes.
because they're kind of related.
Yeah.
Their characters are related, and they all, or rather, the mom, the aunt, and the dad
The
are all
dad, yeah.
related because, and it's part of Shang-Chi's character arc where it comes down to she and Michelle Yeoh plays Shang-Chi's aunt. It's a perfectly fine role. I'm going to say this: she's not the part itself is nothing that is challenging for her.
Oh, no.
No.
But
Like,
she just
but
does it so
she- but
easy
she-
and so
but
fabulous.
she's doing her job,
Yeah.
and it's a very kind of like, yeah, this is the kind of role we know you can do, and it's fine.
Right.
It's not like, which is kind of funny because in the last 5 or 6 years, Michelle Yeoh has been getting roles that have really been stretching her acting muscles.
Mhm.
But this isn't
Discovery-
one of
Discovery is still
but
like-
this is not one of them. But her character is actually very important, even though it comes fairly late in the movie.
Yeah.
And I like how she brings up this whole point, like, stop pretending to deny who you are.
Yeah.
Come on. Yes, your father is a bastard.
Right?
And
It
did
kinda
horrible.
sucks.
Has spent 1,000
Sorry.
years doing horrible things. Yes, that's a reality. Own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Own it. And that's where it gets very Chinese, where especially when she's prepping him and the training and of course the open hand movements where like, yeah. We combine what your mother taught you, combine what your dad taught
Best of
you.
both worlds.
Except that's who you are. And that's of course, that's the role she's in, which of course you have, that character is usually, you usually find that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody, except,
Usually
yeah.
it's the Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
It's the,
or,
it's
yeah,
the
and
old
25 years ago, Michelle Yeoh was the recipient of that character.
Yeah.
She was being told, own who you are,
Yeah.
and then everything will work out.
Now,
And
just
so-
real quickly, Wong,
Okay.
Benedict Wong, he's a joy in every movie.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
him, and he just got he's so deadpan, but he does it so amazingly. He's like, I love him. He's gonna be the new Coulson in my mind.
You
Like-
know what? I hope so.
They
which
got him-
reminds me, I want to bring up something. Remember I said in the last episode, I wish that special cameo that he did with the Abomination was not done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have another reason for that. When I think about this, there's no way Wong would be doing cage match fighting.
No, I don't.
There is
yeah,
no-
I was like, I didn't realize.
I was
it
trying to
that much of a
understand-
movie.
No.
Well-
Considering how much grief he gives Stephen Strange for even
being
thinking
a
about
hooligan.
doing something stupid or
Yeah.
reckless. No.
I'm hoping that they'll expand upon that. I mean, from what I took
But
away
I-
from
yeah.
it, from what I took away from it, he was using it as an opportunity to train Abomination. So maybe that was
Yeah,
just
like,
a place for it.
but from what I read, they were just trying to figure out a way to get Wong in the movie.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's what Benedict said. I didn't think I was going to get into it. Like they figured out a way to shove me into the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm actually fine with the second scene of his.
Well, I
Yes.
think that the second scene couldn't have happened unless they had seen him in the
Well,
first scene.
You
Because
see,
then
but
they
then
would-
even-
they're
like-
but even
No,
though in
Because
the
if some
second
guy just came and said, "Hey, you guys need to come with me,"
Because
But-
he said they sensed it.
yeah.
They sensed it
But
all the way.
and there, even that scene again is forced comedy. Everything that led up to that moment, because there is no way he's gonna pop up in a crowded restaurant.
Yeah.
That was the moment that kind of took me out of it, where I'm like, why did we do this? Is this common? Like, I don't think it's that common that they'd be like,
like
"Let's
Stephen
pop up."
Strange would be cocky enough to like.
They do
Yeah.
spend several.
Right, to be
Long
like
would be
Harry
good-
Boys.
They do spend several comments throughout the movie. This is the post blip world, and
Yeah.
superheroes are a different reality. So I mean, maybe
Yeah,
I don't
and-
know, maybe.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
but anyway, but no, I mean, I just wish there had been a better way to
Well,
put him in there.
like I said,
Yeah,
I've
but-
been reading that he's actually contracted by, when all is said and done, he will actually have been the most appearances in Marvel movies of all across the board.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
they've got him set. Yeah, they've literally said that
Okay.
like when all is said and done, Wong is going to have the most appearances of any of the
So
characters.
he's gonna use-
what about Samuel L. Jackson? Because
I'm
I thought
just,
he
I
was.
know, I'm
But,
just
but he
saying,
hasn't been in a number of these
He's-
the
he's
later
got-
ones because
he's
he's
right,
often.
depending-
he's going to be in all of them
Depending on
coming
who
up.
you ask.
He's going to be, so just brace yourself. He will
Okay,
be the
but
connective tissue.
all right. But anyway, we just have Tony, right?
And now Tony,
Okay,
and
and it goes back to like I said, and Wenwu, this Mandarin, whatever we want to call him, the antagonist. This is like at the core of the movie where it's about. I said it's about pain.
Yep.
It's really about pain, family pain, grief,
Grief.
and
It's
how
the theme of this whole
is about
phase.
grief and how
Yeah.
you deal with grief,
and how it makes some people more vulnerable,
and how
than
some
others.
people can't even move on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, 17 years, but I can accept it because no, this was your soulmate. This was
Yeah.
this was a
This was
soulmate.
it.
She's the one, especially when you didn't think you had a soulmate.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Took you 1,000 years to find her.
yes, and that's what the beautiful part. You can see the pain and nothing's overacted.
yeah.
Tony-
Oh my God, there are
Tony
so
does
many
not
scenes.
overact,
Mhm.
and
It got me.
And there is. He brings that. That's what I said. He brings this character who is very tortured, who is obsessed, who is easily, and that
Not manipulated, but
swayed by it. He's being influenced by it, and that's what's and this is what I said. Like the trailer for the movie is so deceptive. It's
Yeah.
about family. It's not about conquest. It's not about villainy. Because even the clips where he's interacting with son, no. He wants his son and daughter back.
Mhm.
He doesn't.
Right? He just wants his family back.
I'm trying to put the family back together.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, if you don't want to, he probably, in the grand scheme of things, even if you don't want to stay and inherit the business,
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing your mom back, and we're starting as a family again, even whether you like it or
Right.
not.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
And-
like, and there's so many, some of the captivating bits he does
Yeah.
nuance so
Yeah.
well. Like there's bits where he's just sitting there like staring in a
Yeah,
direction.
and he's supposed to be thinking with his eyes.
And
He acts
it's the
with his
most
eyes.
emotional thing I've been
And-
seeing the entire thing.
And that's when we were talking earlier about I'm going to spoil it. This is a spoiler.
Might as well.
And where there is this one scene which really shows off his acting, his use of the language and his body, even though English is his second language, is the whole interaction at the dinner table with Awkwafina's character, Katie, where he's trying to make this point about you don't appreciate, you have to family is important. Where you come from is important. It's part of your identity. And he goes and addresses her, you American girl. What's your name? And first she says, Katie. No. What's your name? And she sort of mumbles out her Chinese name, and he gives this long beautiful speech about how, don't you know how important a name is? I let, as on a whim, I let a bunch of terrorists use my identity to scare you Americans, and they called me the Mandarin. They named me after a dish.
Chicken dish.
Like, all you people were scared for years for an orange.
Yeah.
And that builds, and that's sacred. And he's talking about how sacred it is. And then he tells Katie, and my original name, my true name is Wenwu. And then he follows it, and this is beautiful. And unfortunately, this is one of the areas where I get a little frustrated with the movie, is that in the script, he's followed up by saying, and the only person I ever told my name to was my wife.
Until now.
And that last line undermines the scene.
Yeah.
And which is a shame, because it's one of the best moments in acting. And for those of you who are wondering what's the big deal, is he just spent 2 minutes talking about how special his name is. And we know how special, that he only shared it with his soulmate, the only one he trusted enough to be vulnerable with. And then but then here he's casually telling this girl he's only known for a few hours.
Yep.
Mhm.
Just this random
And
girl.
that undermines the scene
Mm-hmm.
of it. And those are the little flaws that get me kind of irked with the movie. Irked, not hating, because I still enjoy it, because the good, fortunately, outweighs the bad, and more than enough. Because I got no problem buying the Blu-ray on this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
It's definitely being
Like I
bought.
said, like this one, very much, I had the same awe, wonder. I left with the same feeling of the euphoria that I got from the first Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I will watch this one multiple times.
Yeah.
This is
And
one
part
that's
of
definitely
one of the
got
reason
that
what we
flow.
talked about is that we have real characters. That is the strength of the movie, is the characters. That there are, and as I said, Wenwu, there's a lot of care to show everybody, no, this is a real complex person. This character could be easily transported to just a family drama.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel ironically, Shang-Chi's character suffers a little bit because of it, because so much attention, again, is here. We don't get the same care. Not that there isn't any character development for Shang-Chi, but the same finesse and care and attention isn't quite on the same level with his character, and that's but he's the hero, and he's the lead character. So they should
but
be
still,
equal.
at the same time, one of the prevailing complaints about the Marvel movies is that the villains are too one note. That there's not really quality villains.
Yes. And
This is definitely Killmonger level quality.
yeah, I actually think more. Because
More.
like
Yeah, I
I
was
said,
about to say,
this
to be
is
fair,
not
more.
this is not a villain. This is an antagonist.
An antagonist.
Where at least with Killmonger, you could still say there's villain. He is a villainess with depth,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
because he is still planning to conquer the world, destroy things. And
Well,
so
I mean,
forth.
to
and
be
he,
fair,
and he did.
we had 1,000 years of real maliciousness. I'm just gonna say.
Yes, but he was willing to give it all up for
For
true love.
love.
For true love.
All right.
Yes,
so on that
true
note,
love.
thank you. This has been our review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. If you haven't seen it, make sure you see it. It's going to be in theaters only. Disney is
And-
not doing the thing where you can get it at the home box office right now.
You might have to wait up to 45 days, but it is worth seeing
Oh, it's
in
so
See
the
it
worth
in
theater.
theater. It is
It
worth
is
it.
worth
I am
seeing
so
in the
happy
theater.
that we saw it at the Bullock Laser IMAX,
Yes.
the Bullock History
See it in
Museum.
the biggest screen
Yeah.
you can find.
It was beautiful.
Don't bother,
and-
from what I heard, don't bother with 3D. IMAX, yes, 3D.
IMAX 3D.
Yeah.
But anyway, go see it. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and share. And
Yes.
we are going to have the Patreon. We got that started. It'll be up in the fall. You can go to bradsredweb.com at any time to follow some of our links to our older episodes.
Oh, one other thing.
Uh-oh.
There must be a plushie for Morris.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes. This is...
And,
actually,
no. See the movie. You'll
I'm
understand.
actually surprised that they don't already. This is going to be a Baby Yoda thing at Christmas.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
I told you.
It's a
I
baby Yoda
need
thing.
this in
We
my
need it.
theater
Yeah.
by Monday.
There must be a plushie Morris.
Disney.
Disney
I need you to get
is
your
a-
marketing crap
Yeah.
together.
There is
His name
an
is Grogu.
action figure for
It's what?
Morris, but there's
Grogu.
not.
Grogu, I know.
Yes, there is an action figure for Morris, but there's not a plushie.
All right.
There must be a plushie.
Right.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the
Yes.
Red Web. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
All right.